Look, the American people overwhelmingly support our agenda. We saw extraordinary results in these midterms elections that no one thought possible. More independents voted for Democrats and Republicans in this election. Young people, you voted at historic numbers again, just as you did 2 years ago.
Well, that was President Biden taking a midterms victory lap before we actually have the results, despite having no clear winner in the House or Senate yet. Republicans need at least 7 seats for majority control of the House, and the GOP leading in total amount of votes cast for House races so far, gaining 52% of the vote. Also, we've got poll after poll saying 3/4 of the country think the economy is on the wrong track. 61% of the country unhappy with President Biden's performance. Joining me right now is New Jersey Congressman and member of the Homeland Security Committee, Jeff Van Drew. Congressman, it's good to have you this morning. What do you make of Joe Biden's assessment there?
It's pretty much what I make of all his assessments. It's nonsense, and he's off track, off focus, and he's the only one I know. The reality is he's the only one that I know that's a Democrat that is celebrating the fact that Nancy Pelosi is not going to be the speaker, that we're going to have all the committee chairs, that we're going to be making the decisions. Let me say something else, too. Many parts of the country did very well, and we're going to have some governors. Let me talk about my district a little bit. I got the southern half of New Jersey pretty much. We have, for the first time, literally in generations, county commissioners that have taken over for the Republican Party in various counties. I myself have 6 counties in my district. I won all 6. I won all 6 in double digits. We are going from being purple to a little bit of red last time to getting much redder. We're going in the right direction. A lot of others are as well. What happened? Well, some candidates weren't as good as they should have been. Some candidates didn't work as hard. In my mind, some candidates weren't as strong and speak out as much as they should have. That's one of the things. And the second thing is the power of incumbency. The third thing is we picked up 14 seats in the last election. That's abnormal. I usually don't do that. That's part of this whole movement that's occurred when you take those 14 seats and you also take what we've gained in this election and will gain. There's no question we are going to have the majority. And if we don't get the majority in the House of Representatives, I will, if you invite me, I will come back on your show and apologize. But we're going to have it. And we've still got a chance in the Senate.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, Joe Biden had lots of tricks up his sleeve. He offered to forgive young people's college debt, even though everybody said it was unconstitutional, that it was not something that the president could decide on his own. He went around Congress. And, of course, right after the midterms, like clockwork, a judge has struck down that plan, which is costing upwards of $1 trillion. But it worked, okay? Congressman, it worked. It got young people out to vote for the Democrats.
Yeah. You listen, you give away money, you give away stuff, it's going to work. They scared the daylights out of some people. I mean, I know that because you listen and watch everything. I mean, the things that the Democratic majority that said, Clyburn, the president, Pelosi, that this was going to be like a Nazi takeover, that this would be the last fair and free election in the history of America if the Republicans swept everything. Well, we're still going to win. It may not be by the number that some people thought, and I think they overpromised, but we're still going to win. But what they said was scary. I mean, to compare this to Nazi Germany, to compare Republicans to Nazis, quite frankly, is foul and inappropriate. Maria, I'm just so damn tired of them. And yet you can't be, because we're going to have to fight the fight and stand up.
I mean, even with all that you just said, you've got President Biden attacking Elon Musk, saying he wants an investigation of Elon Musk. We have no idea what that's based on. Of course, this is after politicizing the FBI and the DOJ, doing a raid on a former president, President Trump. So he's obviously politicizing his agencies and sicking them on his political enemies. But this morning, the president is on his way to Egypt for the United Nations Climate Change Conference. He's pushing his climate change agenda. He's expected to announce restrictions on methane emissions, Congressman. What are you expecting to come out of this?
Well, what's going to come out of this is what always comes out of it. Some very tiny countries may listen because they don't have much of a choice anyhow. Russia is going to do and use the kind of fossil fuels it wants to. China is going to do whatever it wants to. For God's sake, Europe is telling people, and they're going to have a cold winter, to use wood and coal. China's using coal. China still has the status of a developing nation. So they're going to use and do whatever they want. But they want us to put special restrictions on ourselves so that we pay much more for energy, so that we are behind the 8 ball. And again, I'm tired of that. I mean, we should be number one on our energy portfolio, and we keep dropping because of the fact of what this president is doing, because a lot of billionaires are making a lot of money off this Green New Deal. That's the real deal. That's the real story. That's the real truth, and nobody wants to say it. But I'm going to say it. And you know it's true. I know it's true.
By the way, the president is expected to meet Xi Jinping for the first face-to-face as president. Do we have any expectation that he's going to push Xi Jinping on why the CCP will not allow a true investigation of the origins of COVID-19? Do we have any expectations that the president is going to push Xi Jinping on all of the intellectual property theft, on throwing down the law in Hong Kong and throwing freedom fighters in jail, on a police station here in America? The CCP has CCP police in America. Can you do anything about this, or are we just going to watch the CCP overtake America as the #1 superpower?
Well, I'm not just going to watch. Look, I want to make this clear, and I make this clear to my Republican colleagues and friends. This is no time to be soft or vague or anything like that. This is a time to be strong. This is a time to speak out. Yeah. This is a time to investigate. This is the time to really stand up and be tough. There's nothing worse than the only thing literally worse than a Democrat is a weak Republican. We need strong Republicans, and we need them to stand up and fight. Maria, I promise you, I am. I don't know where it's going to go because we still don't have a presidency, but we're going to do bills. We're going to have investigations. Okay. And, you know, the only thing that I'm sure of about this meeting with Xi Jinping is Xi Jinping's going to be laughing at him before the meeting, and he's going to be laughing even more after the meeting.
Well, that's very discouraging. Real quick on the border, you're on Homeland Security. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has tweeted that Texas has now sent its 300th bus to Chicago. As Joe Biden does absolutely nothing about the border, Texas is taking unprecedented action to secure the southern border, where we've got massive drugs flowing in, death and destruction. Now we find out that the tents, which were intended to provide temporary housing to the migrants in New York City, they are going to be closing next week. So this is just 1 month after they opened, Congressman. We understand that they're going to transport these migrants to hotels. It's pretty extraordinary what's going on. No word on what we're going to do for American homeless. Maybe they want to go to a hotel. What are your thoughts?
Sure. Well, sure, we got the money for that. Let's, I think maybe we should just, spend trillions more for, and not even for Americans, not for our veterans, not for our homeless, not for all the issues and challenges that we have. This is a lot of crap. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to be crude, but it really is. I mean, Abbott is right on target. I don't live in Texas. I live in New Jersey, but I get it, and I get what he's doing. And what's happened to Texas is unfortunate. We cannot tolerate this. And again, we're going to put legislation out to build a wall, legislation out to have more border patrol there, legislation out to stop this. Now, again, we need cooperation. Hopefully we'll have the Senate. Hopefully the president, we got to squeeze him like a soft lemon and literally get stuff out of him, because he's going to need the House of Representatives for budgets and for other things. So we got to push hard.
We will leave it there. Congressman, it's always a pleasure. Thanks very much for joining me this morning. Jeff Van Drew in New Jersey this morning. Thank you, sir.